Hello, today we're going to be talking about mitosis section 10.5. The questions we have for y'all today are: how many stages are in mitosis? What is the largest stage of mitosis? What is the shortest stage of mitosis? What are the two forms of movement in anaphase? And what is contained in every chromosome? The mitosis phase. Mitosis is divided into 5 stages: prophase, prometaphase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. It's followed by cytokinesis, which divides the cell into 2 separate cells. Prophase. The first stage of mitosis is prophase. During prophase, the meiotic apparatus forms. The first stage of prophase begins when the chromosome condensation that is intended in G2 phase reaches the point of when the condensed chromosome becomes visible with the light microscope. The spindle and centrioles. The spindle apparatus later separates the sister chromatids during prophase. The spindles replace the microtubule structure in the G2 phase. The centriole forms in G2 phase begins to move apart early in prophase, which forms an axis of microtubules that make up the spindle. A radial array of microtubules that extend from the centrioles towards the plasma membrane is called ester. Spindle apparatus is the assembly that carries out the separation of chromosomes during cell division. The breakdown of the nuclear envelope. During the formation of the spindle apparatus, the nuclear envelope breaks down. The endoplasmic reticulum reabsorbs its components. Microtubular spindle fibers extend across the cell from one pole to the other. This orientation determines how the cell will be divided. Prometaphase. The second stage of mitosis is prometaphase. After the disassembly of the nuclear envelope, the prophase changes from prophase to prometaphase. During this stage, the condensed chromosome attached to the spindle by their kinetochores. Every chromosome contains 2 kinetochores. A kinetochore is a protein structure that forms on a part of a chromosome called the centromere, one that is attached to the centromere region of each sister chromatid.
Movement of chromosomes. Chromosomes are attached to the spindle by microtubules that run from opposite poles to kinetochores of sister chromatids. Chromosomes are being pulled toward each pole. That action leads to a jerking motion which causes the chromosome to get pulled toward the equator of the cell. Isolated chromosomes can be pulled by microtubule assembly. Here's an example of a chromosome. Metaphase. Metaphase is the third stage of mitosis. In metaphase, chromosomes align at the equator. When under a microscope, chromosomes get in a circle along the inner circumference of the cell, just like an equator would circle around the Earth. An imaginary plane that goes halfway between the poles is called a metaphase plate. All the chromosomes are lined up on the metaphase plate as microtubules attached to the kinetochores of their centromeres. The cell is now prepared to separate the sister chromatids. Now each daughter cell will receive a set of chromosomes. And here's an example of the metaphase stage. Anaphase. Out of all the stages of mitosis, anaphase is known to be the shortest cycle of them all. It's when the proteins holding sister chromatids together at the centromere are removed. The sister chromatids are held together by coesin proteins concentrated at the centromere. The chromosomes are no longer sister chromatids because they are pulled rapidly towards the poles to which their kinetochores are attached. 2 forms of movement take place by microtubules. The movements are anaphase A and anaphase B. Anaphase A is the kinetochores that are pulled towards the poles as the microtubules that connect them to the poles shorten. Anaphase B is the poles that move apart as the microtubular spindle fibers physically anchored to opposite poles slide past each other away from the center of the cell. And this is an example of anaphase. Telophase, the final stage of mitosis. The spindle apparatus are broken down into tubulin monomers that can be used to construct into cytoskeleton of the daughter cells. During telophase, the nucleus reforms. Nuclear envelope forms each set of sister chromatids, which are now called chromosomes because they are not attached to central mirror anymore. Soon, chromosomes begin to uncoil to allow gene expression. Telophase is often viewed as the reverse version of prophase. Mitosis is complete after telophase, but cell division is still not complete unless the cytokinesis is done dividing the cell into two equal halves. Once cytokinesis divides the cell into halves, then the cell division is done. And here's an example of the telophase stage. Animal cell. Animal cells and other eukaryotes lack cell walls. Cytokinesis is constricting belts of actin filaments. Filaments slide past one another and the diameter of the belt decreases, which causes it to pinch the cell and create a cleavage furrow around the cell's circumference. And this is an example of an animal cell. Plant cell. Plant cells are too rigid to be squeezed into by actin filaments, which causes the cell plate to divide the daughter cells. It grows outward until it reaches the interior surface of the plasma membrane and fuses with it, which divides the cell into two. Cellulose laid down on the new membrane, creating two new cell wall, and the space between the daughter cells become impregnated with pectins called middle lamella. And this is an example of a plant cell. Fungi. In fungi and some protists, daughter nuclei are separated during cytokinesis. Most fungi and some protists do not dissolve, so as a result, all events of mitosis occur in the nucleus. When mitosis is complete, nucleus divides into two daughter nuclei. When cytokinesis occurs, one nucleus goes to each daughter cell. This nuclear division phase does not occur in plants, animals, or protists. After cytokinesis in any eukaryotic cell, that daughter cell is a complete cell. So we're going to be answering the questions that we had from the beginning. How many stages are in mitosis? There are 5 total stages. What is the longest stage in mitosis? And that would be prophase, which is the very first stage. What is the shortest stage of mitosis? That is anaphase, which is the 4th stage. What are the 2 forms of movement in anaphase? Anaphase A and anaphase B. What is contained in every chromosome? 2 kinetochores. A real-life example of mitosis is when a cut is healing, the skin regenerates to make new skin so that it can close the wound. And all of our pictures, we got it from either Google or the textbook.